Back to Blender Studio LiveNoding. In this episode, I want to talk about face set and face set boundaries nodes that I might have made video like around 3 months ago talking about it. So before I started, this is the nodes that I want to talk about. Face set boundaries. In the latest version of Blender 3.5, it's gonna be called face group boundaries node, and that's okay. It's a change of the name. I think face set is actually coming from the feature that's kind of hidden inside the sculpt mode. So let's try to refresh everything again. So we have the default cube here, and I will do like subdivide a couple of times. Just keep it simple and then hit apply. If you look at into the wireframe, you can see it's been subdivided. So if we go to sculpt mode, it's a control tab if you want the shortcut. Sculpt mode. Inside the sculpt mode, there's something called draw face sets. It's actually really powerful and really cool tools that's kind of hidden. If you go there and you start painting, this is the default things that the tool actually does. I actually like to just if you're doing like a 3D therapy and you're just painting, it's kind of like painting pixel on top of 3D geometry, right? It's very simple tool. It seems like a really simple tool, but it's actually creating like a different face group or face sets, the way it's being called, face set boundaries. So it's drawing different areas on top of the mesh, but you are doing this like really fast. It's kind of similar like if you are creating face group, but face set is really fast and it can do a lot more things than just, you know, face group. Anyhow, they're kind of interchangeable. So face set, once you draw all these different regions, just like a region of islands on the map, right? You can also hold shift and you can paint on everything, and suddenly our pixel art region is kind of smoothed out. So the area is a little bit like a Voronoi pattern, right? So you draw, you hold smooth, and then you paint it, and the edge is smoothed out. This is also a really cool feature and really particular to Blender. I don't know, maybe other 3D apps does this, but not like Blender. And currently, I'm also tapping on the edge. You can hide certain area of the boundaries, and then after you hide it, you can actually you can go to edit mode. You can actually separate it, or you can give it like a different material. Let me show you something that's a little bit funky. Okay, this is the base material for the object. So I'm just gonna leave it white color. I will create a new material slot and give it a color of red, and then I'll just hit assign. We don't see anything changing because we are in this view mode, viewport shading. If I switch to this one, I will get the actual red color. Okay, so let's do this again. So back to sculpt mode and then hit H. I will select a different area, select this part with maybe just select the face, and then create new material, give it different color, green, assign, I cannot see it. I need to go to this mode and then hit edge again. Oops, everything disappear. There's actually a shortcut to flip, invert the what being shown. But anyhow. So anyway, we have 3 different materials assigned into different facet areas, and I can continue doing that, which is kind of like the manual ways to do this. But if you assign like different areas, what you can do next is also kind of important. You can actually separate each segment based on the material. Okay, so let me do this. I will assign blue color to that area. I will select this one, H, assign. Now let's say I'm done with this, back to normal mode. You can see this is just a simple objects. Let me save this segmented. And yeah, the default base color is white, and then we have different color areas. And in Blender, if you go to edit mode, using edit, using tab, you can tap P and then separate by material. Now we have separate parts of the object. This is the old ways of doing things. Okay. Would it be really nice if we actually can go to Sculpt Mode, and we already have all these different segment or facet that we painted? Would it be nice like if we can just separate all these parts, just for fun? You can actually do that using Python. If you search around Blender Stack Exchange, you can query the sculpt facet using Python this way. So I did make a script. It's kind of really rough script, and what the script does actually, it's doing this query of the sculpt facet, and then based on the sculpt facet, find the one that has a similar color, and then create material based on that, and then apply a different material randomly into those facet areas. But my script is really rough. You can have a look at this script and make modifications. I think this is not actually doing it automatically yet. It would be really nice if we actually can use geometry nodes just to take advantage of the facet inside the sculpt. Okay, facet boundaries, and ideally, like I show you in a previous video, if we actually use like Voronoi textures, and we use the white noise texture, so from the Voronoi pattern, if we if you use white noise together with the Voronoi, we're gonna have like grayscale variations of these Voronoi, and then we can query the value based on the different areas of the Voronoi. We can split the face edges using the facet boundaries. Remember, this facet boundaries is gonna be called face group boundaries in Blender 3.5. I'm using 3.4. Let's use a math and pass the color value into add. I think this will actually work, hopefully. Okay, let's do the smooth. Okay, this is basically one of the examples. If you actually search to face group boundaries nodes, this is the example they give you. So Voronoi texture, plug into white noise. Basically a way for you to procedurally cut the seam out of any 3D mesh, and then from that, if you pass it into the UV, you can then, you know, like have like a seamless, or not seamless pattern. Actually, it has seam and it's cutting the the area or region of the 3D objects into separate parts. And yeah, we get something like this, which is, yeah, pretty cool and handy in itself. And then you can, you know, extrude it, for example, and then maybe randomize the offset. So what is this? And it has, well, what is this has anything to do with the sculpt mode that we did earlier? So at the moment, I think there's like there's one missing node between the sculpt mode face sets draw, like this. Everything that we have drawn has nothing to do with geometry nodes, so we cannot really query it. Maybe in the next version of Blender, there's one node that's kind of query the face set data that we painted manually, and then just bring it into geometry nodes and then query that. However, for now, based on this example with Voronoi, like procedural pattern, perhaps we can use Vertex Paint. Okay, so if we are using Vertex Paint, let me try just, you know, paint some areas, regions. Just use a RGB color. So with Vertex Paint, yeah, this is Vertex Paint. We have this data, which is like, it's been called color call by default. So we can query this inside geometry nodes. So maybe we can do the same thing. So we can multiply and snap or floor or round the color. Let's just use floor. So this color goes into the multiplier and into the face set boundaries. So with that, what it does, I believe, is creating a separation based on the vertex color. Okay, it's probably not as obvious, but it could be useful at some point. You know, you see it's separating the blue, the red, and the green. Maybe the nodes is not totally perfect at the moment, but you can get the idea. This is what I want actually with the sculpt mode. If we could actually use the draw face set tool and then just query it inside geometry nodes, it would be really nice. I don't need to use the Vertex Color. But for now, I'm just using Vertex Color, Vertex Paint. So if we, let's say, draw another color. So it's basically creating regions based on different color. Yeah, I guess, yeah, we can actually use clamp. Which is could be cleaner. Okay, yeah. Yeah, hopefully this sort of like makes sense. You could actually, if I get rid of everything here, if I start again, right, with a cube, and I just subdivide it, you can do this kind of manually. So if we draw the face set, oops, let's apply this first, apply, and then we paint the face set. I like how whenever we click on something, it's gonna generate a new face set or face group ID, and we get different color, and we can smooth it, remember? And yeah, there is actually the initialized face sets that can come from different things, like from material as well, but there is this extra face set that you can assign into quick favorites. So now you can tap Q and then extract the face set by a click, which could be pretty handy if this is actually turned into a script as well, so we don't need to do this manually one by one. But you also want to consider this method if you want to. But in the end, if we can just use geometry nodes and something like, you know, this is procedural Voronoi, or using the Vertex Color, in this case, I just paint like different area of regions and then we can separate it procedurally. This is probably a little bit better. So we have more control. It's not perfect yet, but still can be improved. But even better if the developer of Blender watching this video, if we have a way from Sculpt Mode, face set brush tool, draw the face set very quickly, and then back to object mode, geometry nodes, and then just query whatever face set group that we already have, and then simply split the edges based on that. Okay, so this is Blender 3.4, right? I keep mentioning. If we actually switch to Blender 3.5 now, I already said yeah, let's save this as new. The face set boundaries is called face group boundaries, and then we have face group ID. So that's interesting. Maybe this object have face group ID. I don't know. I haven't checked this, but maybe we actually have face ID. Not based on the material, but based on the actual face set. Yeah, maybe we don't have that yet. I don't know. Maybe it's hidden. But with Blender 3.5, this is release candidate, will be released very soon. We actually have blur nodes, blur attributes nodes, which is pretty cool, and you can use this together. You can plug this and blur the color, for example. But you need to use Blender 3.5 to do this. Yes, hopefully, I mean, I like using the smooth modifier here. However, if we can do it inside geometry nodes, that's gonna be even better. But anyhow, as you can see, I can blur the vertex color, and then this further modify this multiply floor and face group boundaries on the fly. Yeah, I think the solidify is what we also need. Solidify nodes inside geometry nodes if that's possible. That's kind of handy because we can add this kind of thickness. It's kind of creating like a muscle inside of these plates that's currently just flat. And that could be a quick way, like if you're doing like a concept art of a character and you want the character to have like different topology, different plates on the surface of the characters, you can do it this way, of course, using vertex paint or using this Voronoi method. Yeah, whatever. Okay. We actually need to use multiply and floor instead of using add. So multiply and floor, plug this there, plug this into the blur as well. Now we can play around with this Voronoi and the blur. And multiplier. And from here, maybe we can just use like a mirror. Because normally a character is kind of mirror. But anyhow, maybe that's gonna be for the next video. Create a simple character, make a different segmentation of the body topology, and then maybe use AI kind of to modify, kind of to remix the topology or something. All right. So anyhow, that's the video for today. It's talking about face set. I talk a lot about all kind of face set queries and nodes, but hopefully this is useful in the future. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.